Just click.
So welcome everybody. Happy New Year. Woo! Did anybody bring the fireworks? It's a new year.
I'm drinking, so there might be fireworks there. My wife, I'm just saying,
especially what you're drinking. Oh my God, that might. So hopefully everybody had great holidays, great New Year's, suffering a hangover, and drinking water today. That would be the best start to a new year.
who gets hungover? Come on now, we're adults.
Not me, because I was a baby. But somebody somewhere is suffering today. I know it. So anyways, welcome back to all our listeners. Happy New Year's to you. We are Global Strangeness. And it is myself, Scott, and Jeremy, three strangers that came together with a love of paranormal, spooky, folklore, all the stuff that goes bump in the night. And we are so excited to have a fresh new year with a, whole bunch of fresh, new, creepy stuff to scare you guys with. So how was everybody's holidays? Did Santa bring you a sack of coal, or did he overlook your sins?
Ours was good.
Santa didn't bring me nothing, but it's okay. He took care of the kids. That's all I care about.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
That's all that matters.
As long as all those creepy things didn't show up that we were talking about, right?
I mean, me and Krampus, as I told my kids, me and Krampus were having a few drinks at the bar the night before, trying to decide if they deserved him coming or not.
I love how you scare your kids with all those. That's
just don't do it too bad, because that'll bite you in the ass.
The kids, or what I say? That's the question.
So
what did you guys do for New Year's in Canada there, Debra?
Well, normally I go out. I didn't go out this year. I stayed home. I had won a book in this contest, and it had it was all annotated by the author, and I was such a geek. I read and I drank wine and listened to music. Yeah, it was pretty quiet. But I did stay up till New Year's, till I made it to midnight, and there was fireworks that I could see from a house. So that was kind of cool. What about you guys? Anything fun? Did you get dressed up and go anywhere or do anything good?
I got kids. I didn't do shit. We
Fell asleep.
We got young kids. You kidding me?
we suck though. Like, honestly, that's terrible. At least one of us should have taken one for the team and went out. But
it's my mom's birthday, so I've never actually celebrated New Year's.
You've never gone out for a New Year's party? Wow.
I mean, I have, but it was always just like a regular night, Like when we were teenagers, I never went out for like specific party New Year's.
Oh, you get to wear sparkles and you get to drink champagne. It's like the best night in the entire year.
Oh, I've been to like New Year's Eve parties and stuff in my past days, but I mean, you tell my wife to let me go out and have a good time on New Year's Eve, and I will, and if she approves. But good luck with that.
Well, if you took her, it might go over better.
Yeah,
that might work.
When we were young, every night was a party. So
yeah, exactly. But then again, Debra, that brings it back to the kids. Who's going to watch them?
That's true. I hear you. Yeah. So, anyways, I guess are we diving right into our topic right now, or?
Before we get into it, so we got the Pixelated Paranormal that we did the show with. Tomorrow they're doing a Q&A. Ask them anything. So if you guys can think of a topic, we can come up with a topic at the end of the episode. And then they haven't told me when they're going live, but they started going live after they came on our show. So
cool. We inspired people. Yeah.
That's it.
No, they're actually I listen to their shows, once a week, and it has sort of kicked up a little bit. It's pretty cool watching them live. They still edit a little bit out of it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. We inspired. That's good. Doing our job.
They've been around for like 6 years, man. I don't know how why they weren't doing it before, but I guess they didn't. They were with that other podcast group, so.
A lot of podcasts don't do it live. I figured that out I've been guesting on a lot of shows over the last 2 weeks and over the next 2 weeks, and a lot of them just don't do live. They still do recordings. Even the one I was on the other night doing the conspiracies bracket again, like he didn't want to do it live. He'd rather just like record it and then edit it. And I'm like, I mean, he's got more views than I do, so I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, no, that's like it. That's how I was doing my podcast 5-6 years ago too. It was all,
Oh, but this is so much more fun. You have to roll with all the, bad things you say and mistakes you make.
yeah,
So
no,
much
it's
better.
pretty cool. I'm gonna try to watch them tomorrow. So
I mean, I've said a lot of bad things on podcasts, and they never came back to bite me in the ass. So
That's right. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Cool. And is that it for housekeeping kind of stuff, or?
yeah, unless Jeremy's got anything, you got anything?
No.
I got nothing yet, but coming soon. Paranormal the
That's-
Normal Patreon will be coming soon, and I'll have plenty of details on that in the near next few weeks at least.
Awesome. Yeah,
Weren't
I
you
think
gonna
I think we all have some projects boiling. So yeah, some exciting stuff coming up.
Weren't you gonna sing us a song though, Jeremy? You were talking about that before before we jumped on live here.
Scott, I have not had that much moonshine. Come on, man.
Well, drink up. Come on, maybe by the end he's gonna sing you a goodbye song.
Katie, if I go blind again, it's their fault.
If we're taking requests, I'd like to hear Styx Come Sail Away.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, I second that. That'd be
I actually could do that one from memory, but I'd have to be pretty gone and want to do it.
okay. Well, I'm gonna start talking. You start drinking. Drink.
sounds like a plan.
'Cause, yeah. So, anyways, well, I got the pleasure of picking the very first topic for the first of the new year. And I thought it kind of made sense, New Year's resolutions. You have a new year, a new you. Everybody makes all these promises that 99% of them break. But I thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about what about a whole new life? Because there's a whole ton of people, and I think it's actually a growing concept, that believe in reincarnation. So a lot of people think that you keep coming back to Earth. It's, same soul in a different body, and you are going through life lessons, and it's karmic lessons, and you supposedly get better and better every lifetime, and level up each time. Or if you don't learn your lessons, you come back and have the same misery each time. So I don't know. Are you guys believers in this before we start, or?
I'll get into that more on my end, but somewhat.
I mean, anybody who listens to my show knows I'm a huge believer in past lives and reincarnation and all that. Like,
Yeah.
There's so much proof for it that it just can't not be true. I mean, it's just impossible.
And even in your own, like, do you ever get a deja vu kind of feeling, or
No.
you meet people? No, I do. And I'm sure, or you have a dream. Like, I've dreamt about this specific house so many times, and it's not a house I've ever lived in or anything, but it's so familiar. Like, I'm 100% believer.
Oh, I've definitely gotten deja vu. Like,
Oh,
for
deja
sure.
vu, deja vu, yeah, but
Not
it's usually
lately, but
it's usually related to premonitions I've had at some point, like in my life, but it's always stupid shit. It's never anything like life changing. But I mean, I don't really dream. Thank you, weed. But
yeah.
according to my wife a couple nights ago, I was saying in my sleep, just tape her up so she doesn't make any noise. So I mean,
Oh
I
my
don't know what the
God.
fuck, I don't know what the hell I'm dreaming about, but I'm dreaming about something really freaky apparently.
So who were you in your past life? That's what I want to know. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
funny.
man, my nightmares are always like me going to prison or something. You're like
Gang-
taping people up.
that nightmare might have led that way. Just saying, but but no, I mean, it was definitely, I don't know. Maybe I was Genghis Khan in the past life. Who knows?
God, would you guys ever let yourselves be hypnotized? Like, so,
Yes.
how
Yep.
they do that for past regressional lives or whatever?
Absolutely not.
My episode just dropped yesterday with a past life hypnotist,
Oh,
and
wow.
I want to have her have a session with me so I can see my past lives. I was supposed to have it done months ago, but the one who was supposed to do it had a family emergency. We haven't rescheduled it yet. But
Oh, yeah,
like, I was
that's so
thinking,
wild.
I want to get it done. You kidding me? I'm dying to see if I was like King Arthur or if I was Hitler. Like, which way did I go?
Yeah,
Or just some
fascinating.
random peasant. Dream
Yeah.
big, buddy. Dream
Don't
big.
take my illusions of grandeur away, Scott. God damn it.
Honestly, wouldn't it suck if, like, this is the very, this life is like the most, the best you've ever done, and it's like you said, you're some, ditch digger in the life before, and before that you're, chimney sweep or something like. I don't know.
Not a ton of famous people throughout history, so that would be kind of like winning the lottery, I would imagine. I think realistically, you're going to be used up in some tribe where bad shit probably happened, just like bad shit will happen in this life. But
I mean, and this is the best life I lived in all my dad's lives. And just shoot me the fuck now.
No, it just means you got to do something exciting. You got to do something.
I better have been like King Arthur or freaking a king or a king of something. I better have been. I mean, King of Zimbabwe would be fine. I better have been king of something.
I don't know. I'm thinking more after your dream. You had bodies hidden in the basement or something. I don't know.
Jack the Ripper. They never found him. We don't know if
That's
he
right.
died before you were born.
I would take Jack the Ripper to past life. I would definitely take that, or Al Capone, or pick your criminal empire.
So, anyways, each of us found some stories, and some of these stories are really compelling. Like, and there was lots on Reddit too, like people with just little experiences. So many people believe in this, and I really do actually. I think it's the thing that makes the most sense, really. So anyways, the dictionary definition of reincarnation is the rebirth of a soul into a new body. So just like that, your soul comes in, you don't necessarily remember right from birth, although some people do. Some people have an injury or something that kind of triggers it. So my first pick was this lady named Dorothy Eady, and I've read about her quite a bit before, and I just find this really, really fascinating.
Should I bring up the picture or newspaper? Yeah. Let me know which.
Oh, no, the picture. The picture is Dorothy Eady.
Well, while he's bringing up the picture, I will say this. I see this meme on Facebook all the time, and it always makes me think, what if the light we see when we're dying is the opening of us being born again?
That's it. Yeah, right? I know, I've seen that too, and it's gross and disturbing, but then it's also like,
what if you're being born in the dark? Come on now.
There's always a light.
Like a water delivery.
There's still light. Yeah. There's still light, Scott. unless they choose the dirtiest freaking river in the world.
It's the Congo, dude. They're in the Congo giving birth to you.
I was gonna do that in the Congo.
Seriously,
you want to seize a hippo?
I was gonna say, you want a hippo or a croc to eat your baby? Like, who the hell would do that?
Well, they don't have a choice. Come on now.
They want to be on the trends, and that's all the water they have. So
it's not like you can choose when your water breaks.
Yeah. So, anyways, Dorothy Eady, she's really interesting. So she's a 20th century Egyptologist. She's quite famous actually. And her whole life, she's been, claiming to be this reincarnation of a priestess of the cult of Isis. And she had a lot of knowledge and sort of details, even as a really young kid, that really kind of backed it up. So anyway, she was born in London in 1904. And she, at 3 years old, she fell down a flight of stairs and she was knocked unconscious. And I don't know, some reports say that she died and then came back to life, and then some reports say that she just got knocked unconscious. But at any rate, she suffered some brain injury, or it was a bad fall. And so whichever way it was, it really it altered her. She started to speak sort of with an accent, and her speech patterns themselves really changed. And she kept asking her parents to take her home. And I think this is really common, especially when it's in kids, when, in young people, they'll say, take me home to their parents, or ask their parents, say that they used to change their diapers, all that kind of stuff. Like the young kids will make the comments. So I think maybe, we all have stuff like that, and then we forget about it or grow out of it. But kids are really, you think that it's just nonsense, but I don't know, you should pay attention to what your kids say anyway. So anyways, sometime within the first year of that accident, so when she's about 4 years old, her parents took her to this Egyptian exhibit at a museum, and she was wandering through the artifacts, and she was like, my home, and she was kissing the feet of statues, and she said that she once lived in the very building that was in a or like in a picture, in an artifact picture or whatever. And then she said, well, something's missing though. Where's the gardens? Where's the gardens? Because it wasn't in the picture on the wall. And anyway, she was like saying she was amongst her people, and she was just acting like basically like a little nut, and her parents were kind of upset, and they discouraged her to do this. It was kind of embarrassing for them or whatever. But she kept on, insisting on this, and she kept going back to the museums on her own even, and she felt really at home there, and she just kept talking about this and talking about it. She never really gave it up, even though her parents were trying to discourage her. And so she got the attention of an Egyptologist, E.A. Wallace Budge, and he encouraged her to learn hieroglyphics. Like, he started really encouraging her to kind of run with all of this. And and she had a hard time, when she was a teenager or whatever. She kind of didn't fit in, and she refused to sing some songs that there was something in the verse in the song that had cursed the sword Egyptians, so she refused to sing it. She refused to go to church anymore. So yeah, it was kind of weird, and she was kind of never gave it up, and was sort of an outcast all through her teenage years. And it just, it got worse and worse as she, kind of grew. And by the age of 14, she was describing a sexual relationship with Seti the First, claiming to have been his lover in a previous life. And so, I mean, you can imagine your parents, like, you're describing all of this. And she described visions of visitations where his mummy came to her bedside and tore away her nightdress. And like, I mean, it was bizarre. I can't even imagine her parents, what they were thinking, but, and they ended up committing her to sanatorium. One after another, actually, they committed her quite a bit. And she just refused to like give up her story. She just went with it anyways, was completely obsessed. And so she ended up, when she took part-time studies at an art school in Plymouth at one point, and she had an opportunity to play Isis on stage. And that sort of almost was like therapy for her or something, because she worked out the details of her previous life, and she, went into real details. And she said she was the reincarnation of a girl named Benchrit, and I'm saying that wrong, 100% for sure. And she described the being abandoned at the age of 3 and being raised thereafter in this temple of Seti, the first, and the very building she had pointed out as a 4-year-old in that museum. So that was where she was raised. She had been abandoned. She was being raised there. And she recalled meeting the pharaoh in the temple gardens while serving as a priestess of Isis. And the priestess, for a priestess of Isis to lose her virginity, though, was a capital offense. And after becoming pregnant with Seti's child, she was ordered to stand trial. And then she chose to commit suicide on her own. So this is what her past life was. This is everything, all the details she said. And then she went on. She ended up becoming quite renowned. She worked for an Egyptian magazine in London, and she married an Egyptian man. And she actually named her first boy Seti after her long lost pharaoh lover.
I'm sure the husband was happy about that.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if the mummy was still visiting the bed at night, but anywho. And yeah, she just she lived to I can't remember what age it was, but she got really quite renowned for all of this. And she lived in Egypt. She moved there, lived there, and people she got a lot of respect because she had so many details, right? And people actually quite believed her, but she was very strange. And a lot of people were really frightened by her, especially the local people. She was known to spend nights alone inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, and she'd be laying offerings at the feet of the Sphinx. And, she was gossiped about a lot, but then a lot of people really admired her and they thought it was, pretty cool. So very well documented. If you want to dig into it, it's actually, there's little video clips of her speaking and stuff. And yeah, so from the age of 3 to the time she died, she never let go. She didn't get deterred, no matter how much people told her to shut up and quit talking crazy. She was adamant. So
past life or demon possession? Where are you going?
I mean, her past life sounds like it should be a Cradle of Filth song. Just saying, but
yeah. So I mean, anyways, but yeah, I thought that was really kind of interesting. And then my next story is the Debra boy. So that's Cameron McCauley, and he's from Glasgow. And he, as a young child, apparently remembered facts from a past life on a remote Scottish island. And there was actually a documentary made about this, and it was broadcast in 2006. And so he was born near Glasgow on the 23rd of August in 2000. And at the age of 5, he lived with his mother and his 6-year-old brother, Martin. And at the age of 2, according to his mom, he started to make statements that connected him with a past life on Barra, anyways. And it's an island on the outer Hebrides of west coast of Scotland. My God, I cannot pronounce stuff. And it's a little tiny island. It's got about 1,000 people on it, and no one in his family had ever been there. There's no connections to it, whatever. So he started talking about it even more and more. And in nursery school, he started talking about it like daily, insisting like, I want to go to Debra, see my other family. And he told his mother his father's name had been Shane Robertson. So he had details about this other life. And he also, and an uncle verified, he also said it to him that he had some, father called Shane or Sean. And this kid said that his past life father had been stepped onto a roadway, was struck by a car. And he remembered it as either green and silver or greenish silver. And so he said his Debra mother, so his past life mother, had long brown hair and then had cut it short. And he had 3 little brothers and sisters, and one of whom was named Lindsay, and they played tag, and they had a black dog with white hair on it and like white hair on the chest. And they lived in a white house, and it was bigger than the one they lived in right now. And it had multiple toilets and large stacks of boxes placed outside it. And he recalled swimming in rock pools and playing with friends. And he mentioned using a black phone, and he was mimicking the dialing, the old rotary kind of phones.
Mm-hmm.
And he said also that he watched planes landing on a beach. And so he has no memories of being an adult in that childhood. He just remembers being a boy, a little older, just than himself. And he didn't mention that he ever died, only that he fell through a hole, Jeremy, through the hole to the light, and somehow connected with the White House and came into his mom's tummy. So anyways, and he just always says, I was in Debra, now I'm here. And so in 2005, there was a TV production, and they were doing a documentary about all of this. And so, I mean, you can look this one up too. And, they went to Debra to visit, to see. So all these people that got into the documentaries and started, doing all these TV shows and stuff about it. He added a whole bunch more details, more he was like talking to people or whatever. But anyways, they went to Debra to visit, and a local historian placed his life in the 60s at the earliest, because he was talking about a rotary phone or whatever, right? And the toilets, having 3 toilets. And he couldn't find Shane Robertson's death, and he didn't know anyone who had died as this kid had described. But then after checking more carefully, so it looked like it was a bunch of BS, really. It looked like a bunch of nonsense. But then after they started checking more carefully, they found that this Robertson family from the mainland vacationed on Debra in a house they owned at the northern end of the islands in the 60s and 70s. And the location was exactly, gave the view of the planes landing on the beach. And when we got to the house, which was empty at this time, he recognized it right away. He knew the layout of it, and he easily found all the rooms and commented on things that had changed. And, they did eventually find a picture of this family, and it had the picture of the dog with the black and white hair and the car. And so it was all basically exactly what he said. So I thought that was interesting, because first they all thought it was a bunch of, bullshit. But then when they dug more, they were like, no, there is a family. It just, they didn't, it was a vacation home, not an actual home. And he didn't remember that. So yeah, so that's the Debra guy. And then, so the next one I have is And that's the, if you want to bring up the
newspaper.
the newspaper clipping. So this lady, Virginia Burns Pig, she was born on the 27th of April in 1923 in Madison, Wisconsin. And so this is a little bit different. So she was really shy of publicity, and she's, she never really wanted to do this, but she was doing this hypnosis thing, so past life hypnosis kind of thing. And she was really shy of publicity. She never made any money off this at all. Like she actually said if she had known how, public this case would have got, she would have never even done it. But anyways, she did let this lady, Maury Bernstein. Oh, it was man, never mind. Maury Bernstein, he was a businessman and experienced amateur hypnotist. And so he became really interested in reincarnation. And so they did these sessions where he regressed her to a time prior to her current life. And she began speaking with an Irish accent, saying she'd scratched paint off a metal bed in anger at age 4. And he questioned her about stuff that he was like asking questions that he thought he could look up and verify that what she was saying is right. And so he got, her name had been Bridie Murphy, and she lived at Meadows near Cork in Ireland. And she had a brother and a father, both named Duncan. And her mother's name was Kathleen, and she lived in a 2-story wood house. And father was a barrister, and she married a man named Brian McCarthy and moved to Belfast. All these details, like there was a whole ton of details. And then in other sessions, like they kept doing more and more sessions, and she would, give geographical descriptions around Cork and Belfast, in between, the lights in Belfast were on poles and burning in some way, and Galway was port, and all this stuff, right? There's like just so much, like it's a whole ton of stuff, that all these details she gave. And she sang a children's song and recited a pre-meal blessing, like a prayer or whatever. And she drew a map of the location of the Murphy house in relation to the church in Cork. And she did this jig, and like all of this, she had perfect accent, everything. So anyways, so they started to see if they can verify all of this stuff. And so there had been, and I mean, most of it is verified. Like it's pretty interesting. The whole list is, where she said she got her groceries, she knew the names of the guys who owned the grocery stores, and that was verified. Like a lot of the stuff was just on point. It's like a whole ton of stuff, but had it, like it was. So anyways, but then for some reason, Life magazine, they started publishing about this, and they actually wrote a book. So this Bernstein guy, the hypnotist, wrote a book called The Search for Bridie Murphy in 1956. And people started, they thought it was really cool, and they got really into this. And then for whatever reason, Life magazine took an adversarial position, and they started saying it wasn't correct and it was not verified and blah, blah, blah. And they started kind of this war, like they all started fighting. It became this really big thing about whether this is true or whether it's a bunch of, BS and blah, blah, blah. And, the metal bed that she was talking about, Life claimed that iron beds were not introduced to Ireland until the 50s. And Life magazine, they claimed that there was no Queen's University in Belfast until 1908, and all these things that they were saying were untrue. But it turns out, when they actually looked into it, it actually was all verified, and Life magazine was just, being a bunch of assholes, really. And they caused this big, storm of controversy around her. And this poor lady was very shy and didn't want any part of any of this, and ended up being the focal point of all this fighting between publication things. And the magazine, the Chicago American, they based the attack on the claim of cryptomnesia. Did you guys come across that term?
No.
Yeah, so it's
No.
So anyways, and so that's what they were saying it. And they were saying all this stuff was a bunch of lies and whatever. And there was some aunt or some lady who lived across the street that was supposed to have, been there and couldn't, could say that for sure she was lying. But then it turned out that she was the mother of the guy who wrote all the articles that that was saying it was a bunch of bullshit. So anyways, it turned out it was a great big shitstorm. This poor lady, but it actually was all completely correct. Everything she was saying was correct, completely verified. So the other, I think, Life magazine and the other Chicago American was just trying to get some notoriety out of it by arguing it back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, there is a ton of stuff on this because they were arguing about it, and they're both, publication things. You can actually read quite a bit about it. So, what do you think? Were these people smoking too much, or did they have past lives?
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy?
I mean, the details in these stories just always make it seem like I can't not believe them. The details are always too exact.
Well, they're written from third party, though. That's the thing that gets me. It's like if you could actually talk to one of them, that would make all the difference in the world, right?
Well, of course, you did talk to someone, didn't you? I saw on Facebook that had a past life experience.
Well, I'll get into that when I'm doing my thing, but no, not really like talk to someone, but I've mentioned it on the show before.
See, I think it would be sweet to do the hypnosis thing and get them to ask questions that are so specific like that you could research, just to test your own self or whatever.
Don't fuck with shit you don't know about, Debra.
You won't know unless you fuck with it.
Man, the demons get in. Have you guys not watched any demon possession movies?
Dude,
that's exactly how it starts.
Talking about.
I'm down to be possessed. The demons make your life better normally.
Yeah. Oh. Did you guys watch that new demon possession movie that came out over Christmas?
No.
With the girl that plays Barbara on Gotham?
Oh, no.
Pray for the devil. Pray for the devil.
Was it good?
Oh man, it was pretty freaking good. It's pretty good.
I mean, pray for the devil if he possesses me, but come on now.
Well, check it out. I think it's still like $20 right now, but when it goes to like an even 10, it's worth a buy or rent.
Even
you can rent it.
Even 10. I'll wait till it's fucking free.
Free. Then how can you watch it forever and ever and ever?
I'm good. A movie like that I gotta watch once and I don't forget them, and I'm good. Like I'm like I don't need to see The Conjuring 1 or 2 ever again. Like I'm good. I can remember every scene.
I watched those probably like 3 times alone this year or last year. So.
Oh God, you're diehard.
Well, like when I'm out in the garage,
you're scared of everything. You just gotta quit watching some of that.
I don't have internet out in the garage or when I'm fishing, so I download a movie and I watch it.
Well, even if it was a possession, Jeremy's looking for more exciting life, right? This is his best one. So
hey,
yeah, he's reaching deep too.
Hey, I'm looking for a mortal life. Wherever that search takes me, it takes me.
As long as you're a great. Got it.
The king.
As long as they give me moonshine in the process. Just saying.
Okay, well, what did you guys find?
You want to go next for me, Scott?
I don't care. You make it. You're drinking the moonshine, so are you gonna be able to make it after me?
God, yeah.
Well,
I get better the more I marinate. Come on now.
I like to think so too. Apparently, you guys don't think so, but
I'm not like you.
Have any?
I've never complained. I think you're charming.
Have any of you guys ever watched The Other Side and NDE?
No.
So this is
have you
seen
people with NDE. I've had people with NDEs on my podcast, but I never watched that. No.
So this is like a whole YouTube channel that's been around for a long. Like I saw them quite a while ago, but that's what I figured there were probably not that many like verifiable cases of kids who lived past lives. So I went the they died and came back way. And that's what I researched most of the week till I got into my research today. And like every one of them the stories are almost like they're not similar at all, but they all meet Jesus, right? So then I finally found one. You know, they die, they can see themselves floating. In some of them, they're just like immediately placed into heaven. In other versions, they're like, you know, taken through the universe. It's like every story is different, but then eventually they meet Jesus at the end. So then I watched this one from an atheist man, and this dude's was pretty interesting because he died, and then he was in the hospital, and shadow figures took him away. So the shadow figures took him down this path, and then once he got far enough away from the light to where he couldn't find himself anymore, they started talking shit to him and like fighting with him, right? So this dude's like alone in this dark realm, which got me thinking like, oh, shit, this is exactly where you're gonna be when you die, you son of a bitch.
Time to start going to church, it sounds like.
But then you know, eventually this dude, he starts praying and asking for Jesus, and he doesn't know how to pray, and you know, eventually Jesus comes and saves him in this whole big Jesus spiel. But like, it's, you can go to this, like, let me look here real quick. They have hundreds and hundreds of videos, and they got 100 and I guess 50 videos and 180,000 subscribers, but they're all primarily Jesus stories. And it makes you wonder, what about the Muhammad stories? Why is it always Jesus with these near-death experience stories? So then, like, if you look for any religion, they all have their near-death experiences with their own specific Jesus figure.
Which
But
makes sense, right? Yeah.
yeah, I get, so like with that, that's the question I was trying to bring to you guys. Do you think that whether you follow Jesus or Muhammad or you're a Jew or you're whatever the fuck, like as long as you live a good life, at the end of the life, you're going to be projected with nonsense? Or is it monotheistic or like multiple gods out there, and then you fall into whichever god you believed in? Like,
No, I think it's one divine, and you're seeing what resonated with you, or in this lifetime, whichever religion you grew up in. But it's one divine being. That's what I think, and it's just presenting itself to you in the way that you'd feel comfortable with.
so why do you think he would present himself to what you're comfortable with if he is the one divine being, though?
Because
Because he
it's a
wants,
scary thing, right? So it's
yeah.
somebody you're familiar with, right? If you grew up knowing Jesus was the all-loving thing, then like that picture of him, then that would be the thing that would be most comfortable for you.
I mean, well, Scott's gonna love this because I believe that we are living in an alien matrix, and that we don't really die. Our bodies may die, but our spirit, souls, whatever you want to call them, they go to this place where they're basically in a waiting room, and this is what I've been told by a lot of psychics and mediums. They're in a place where they go to this waiting room, and they're basically waiting for their chance to come back to Earth again. I mean, if they reach a certain level that many don't reach, that most don't reach, they can go on to somewhere that no one knows about. But so the alien matrix we're in, this is what happens when our souls die. They just get reused like recyclables.
So who am I going to see? Am I just going to see some computer programmer in there
And
just making a simulation theory, just fucking typing out algorithms like crazy, getting
you
at
see,
it, fucking Adderall going up the nose? Yeah.
Well, like I said,
If that's heaven.
like I said, I've had a lot of different people with NDEs on my show, near death experiences, and they all see something different. So I tend to believe that you're made to see what you believed, what you would see.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, but
I think it's whatever, like it is literally what makes you like comforting. It's comforting to you so that you're not terrified and it's not this horrible experience as you're going on. And I agree sort of with Jeremy too. Like I believe you have time in between coming back. I believe that you're as just a soul, some people talk about, you know, aliens or star families or whatever. I believe there's all these other dimensions that you spend time in, and you choose to come back to Earth, or, you know, to learn these lessons to up level and stuff. But you don't necessarily go right from life to life to life. You spend time with your, you know, I don't know if they're alien or, you know, your star family in between. That's what I believe.
I don't know what would comfort me, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know what would
The beer
actually,
fridge, that's the light, you open it up.
yeah,
it's the beer
maybe I
fridge
just
opening up.
open up. There's shit for me to make myself busy and a bunch of beer, and I don't know. But
you, like a lot of people with near-death experiences, they see loved ones and grandparents and husbands or somebody who's already passed on come to, you know, walk them over instead of shadow people one. That's scary. Like, eek.
well, that was the atheists thing,
Yeah,
right?
right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did all that research, and then I realized that there wasn't really too much I could go on for past lives because these people all came back. So this morning I started researching. I had to do all the auto pays for my job and then plow snow for 5 hours. I didn't have that much time. Wrong mouse here. And our printer's out of ink, so I'm going to be reading off of the computer. So the first story I came across was Chase, which was an Oprah interview in 1994. Did either of you guys come across this one?
Like sort of briefly, but not, yeah, I didn't dig into it or anything.
So the interview was hosted by Dr. Carol Bowman, who was on set with Chase, which was a young redheaded boy. And he remembered that he was a Black Civil War soldier that essentially got shot in the wrist, and then he died in a field hospital. And the kid had drawn all these little pictures, and then they had artist renditions of the whole thing. But then when I was watching the story longer, there was a teenage girl named Sarah who had always been afraid of fire at a young age. And she had claimed to remember being stuck in like a farmhouse, like an 1800s house, where the house caught on fire, and she was wondering why her parents wouldn't save her. And then as she was trying to leave the fire, her nightgown caught on fire and she died in the fire. So that's what kind of got me drawn to this story, because when, like I've said on this show, my son, when he was young, my youngest son, he would talk from the age he could talk. He would just come out of nowhere. This happened like 10 times or so, where he would start crying out of nowhere and talk about him and his wife burning to death in this house. And it was a brick house, and he went into a bunch of detail, and the names never changed, the details never changed. At the time, there was no way for him to have like imagined this, because he was watching cartoons, you know, Thomas the Train, and like he was put to bed before we would watch Walking Dead or anything that would remotely give him the idea that he died being burnt to death in a fire. And it was just super convincing when he would say it. And he did this, you know, later on when he was like 5 or 6. I'm sure he snuck out and saw Walking Dead or whatever, Breaking Bad, whatever the hell we were watching. But the story had never changed. But now, like, it's been forever since he's actually repeated this story again. I didn't want to bring it up in front of him. But then when I was looking more into this story, this Oprah thing from 1994, that's when I found out that Chase, the Civil War kid, was actually Chase Bowman, which was the doctor's son, right? And I didn't watch this entire episode. I watched about 25 minutes. Maybe when the episode first came out, they did announce that Chase was this lady's son. But, you know, I saw another show with him with Chris Cuomo, and then I just sort of went down this fucking rabbit hole trying to find out what this Chase dude's been up to. So he's been on, that was probably announced info. She essentially did a fuckload of interviews. And then, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm reading off the computer. Down, what's going? Okay, so I looked into the chase, dude. The newest thing I could find about this Chase character, this little redhead kid from 1994, was his parents started a forum. The doctor lady who was on the Oprah show, and then his father wrote on August 18th, 2004 on their forum that he's now 21. He's in the honors program for the Temple University studying media. He was in a band named Simple. That was another rabbit hole that took me fucking a long ass time trying to find Bandcamp, going everywhere trying to find this kid's band. I couldn't find anything. The kid ended up starting a wedding video service, and then he sort of disappeared. But then I found another Chase Bowman, and I saw his IMDb, where he's done a couple of movies himself. And this Chase Bowman comes out of Philly, just like our kid from 1994. And he became a cinematographer. He did, Jeremy might know this one, Hip Hop Family Christmas. Have you heard that one?
Can't say I have, Scott.
Well, he did Let's Be Evil, Happy Ending. He did a whole bunch of these movies, but then in 2007.
Oh, let's be evil. I heard of that one.
Have you seen it?
No, but I've heard of it.
So this kid actually did a movie in 2017 called Reincarnation, which was the name of the forum that he was last mentioned in 2004 that his parents owned. So after spending hours and hours and hours down this rabbit hole, trying to, pull up some shit on how this kid was a fraudster, I eventually started to look into Carol Bowman. So she was the leading author of Past Lives and Reincarnation. So she was born in 1950, and she didn't do her first book, Children's Past Lives, until 1997, which was 3 years after the Oprah show, which I'm pretty sure the Oprah show was her first time coming out with her son and doing all this reincarnation shit. She would later go on to Good Morning America, Unsolved Mysteries, ABC Primetime, The Art Bell Show, Katie Couric Show. She did that one with Chris Cuomo, and we all know what Chris Cuomo did during the pandemic. Just saying. But so, I mean, her Wikipedia is super short. I scoured the web all morning, typing in Carol Bowman fraud, lied, caught, uses son, hoax, every fucking imaginable thing you could, switching from like Google, Bing, I couldn't find shit on this lady. So then I dug deeper into her wiki page, and her predecessors, who she learned from, were Morris Netherton and Roger Woolger. So then I fucking searched all them for the same shit. They came up clean. Found myself in a pickle. And most of the time, these stories do end up full of shit. Like, have you ever seen the video of the guy who prays to the water and the water changes the molecules? The happy water and the sad water, and like if you give negative energy to the water.
I've heard that before though, and I've seen tests where they do that. Yeah,
that's all bullshit. That's bullshit. I can disprove that one. Then I went to the guy who measured the weight of a soul, another BS propaganda nonsense. The tent preachers, all bullshit. But then after a couple hours of trying to prove this lady wrong, I came to the realization that maybe this woman didn't have an agenda of trying to get rich off of her son, but maybe just like with my story, her son did this and then she got into it.
We have a believer.
Well, yeah, no, I tried to be the skeptic, but I couldn't find anything.
Nice.
So maybe Carol Bozeman and her IMDb son were telling the truth.
Maybe, but does that wrap it up
That
for you,
wraps
Scott?
me
Jesus
up,
fucking
buddy.
Christ.
Wraps me up.
Well, you may be a skeptic yet, because I got 10 mini stories here about reincarnation / past lives, and we'll see if you believe all of them.
Oh, I did guarantee I'm not going to believe all of them.
You're a believer now. Come on. You're on the side of the belief.
All right, well, and I don't have pictures for any of these because there was like half-hour videos for each of these on the website I found, so go look them up on Google. But the first story is about William Barnes. When he was 4 years old, he would draw a ship with 4 smokestacks. He showed it to his parents, telling them, "This is my ship, but she died." Soon he started insisting that his family call him Tommy instead of William, and he wouldn't stop talking about 2 brothers and other family members. None of what he was saying made sense to his parents, and it escalated when he started having nonstop nightmares about a huge ship, freezing water, and steel slabs falling on top of him. They continued, and it was at age 25 that he sought help. Took him long enough. He underwent hypnosis, and during the session, he could hear himself arguing about the ship's design. As soon as he awoke from the hypnotic trance, he told the counselor, "My name is Tommy Andrews." Soon the pieces of his nightmare started forming a picture. He became increasingly convinced that he was the reincarnation of Titanic designer Thomas Andrews. William Barnes was born on the date the Titanic sank, and during hypnotic age regression sessions later in his life, he spoke with a heavy Irish accent while detailing the sinking of the ship and how he died on the deck. He now has his own website, which he details his experiences and presents proof of his claim to reincarnation fame.
See,
What do you think, Scott?
I listened to that story, and I heard that he had heard something different, Jeremy. I heard he heard, "Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me."
I am not that drunk, Scott. If you want to hear me sing that song, just Google Cartman sings "Come Sail Away." But no, what do you think of that story, Scott?
Not enough information. I'd really have to spend a day looking into the guy to drill his shit to the floor.
Well, Google William Barnes' website, and you'll find it.
Okay,
Did they convince you, Jeremy?
It's believable in a way, but just not the proof I look for in these type of stories to actually 100% believe it.
Yeah, right. Like not little tiny details would be unknown. So yeah.
Well, I might add that I didn't see an Oprah story with this guy. Just saying. At least mine was on Oprah.
He wasn't that much of a leftist, Scott. So you know.
Hey, this was 1994, buddy.
Oprah was still a leftist back in 1994, but yeah, this next story I found highly interesting. It's about a 3-year-old Thai boy named Dada Wong. He claimed to have 2 past lives, one in which he was a deer killed by a hunter, and then another one as a cobra when he was reincarnated after his death. While he was a snake, he found himself in a life or death fight with 2 dogs. The dog's owner intervened and killed the snake, aka Dalawong, but not before it bit him on the shoulder. The dog owner, Mr. Hayu, took the dead snake home, cooked and ate it, and shared some of the meat with a friend. That friend would become Dalawong's father. Fast forward to 3 years after Dalawong's birth, the young boy recognized Mr. Hayu at a party taking place next door to his own house. He became instantly angry and tried to find a weapon to attack the man. His mother was stunned at her child's anger and forced him to tell her what was happening. He relayed the snake tale to her, and when she confronted Mr. Hayu, he confirmed that he had indeed killed a snake a few years prior and that he had a mark from where the snake had bitten him on the shoulder. Before this incident, human Dalawong and his family had never met Mr. Hayu.
Well, that's interesting. And what do you think about that, where your past life is as an animal?
I want to be a
Well,
coyote.
I mean, my mother always said she wants to be a bird so she can shit on people she didn't like.
I love that.
But I mean, there are a lot of people who say in their past lives they were animals. So I kind of can see it, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I wonder if you're, as a human, if you're mean to animals, then you come back, like say if you know, shoot crows wings off and just maim them for fun or whatever, then you come back as that animal, as your
A crow would be pretty badass.
your karma.
I'd be a crow.
I love crows. That's my spirit animal.
but what do you think of that story, Scott?
I would have to say BS. Dude. Oh, just the little clip you were talking. I mean, but I said BS on my own story, and I couldn't find any evidence. So, and I searched hard, man. I didn't check just the first pages. I went down like 7 pages deep. Could not find this bitch.
Well, if they truly didn't know him, and then he had the thing, that's pretty incredible. But you'd have to make sure they don't actually know each other and hatch this story.
I mean, but those are coincidences to me that just don't line up. So I have to have some belief.
At the time, like how many snakes did this dude eat in his life period? Like his wife remembered this one story of the snake he ate. Like my wife didn't remember one story of the snakes I ate.
No, it wasn't his wife. It was the kid's mother that confronted him.
Okay.
His wife, he never said he had a wife.
Like that's where I'm going with like eating the animals.
Well, no. Her Balawong, or whatever the hell his name was, started beating up Mr. Hayu when he saw him because he recognized him from his past life dreams.
He was the snake, right? That got killed.
But if the guy, I guess what Scott's saying though is, if you eat snake every single week, then
like
what if it like hit you and be like, yeah, I was a snake you ate, and the guy would be like, oh, I did eat a snake, but
I ate lots of snakes. Which one? Like that's more like what it would be.
But he had the bite in the shoulder.
And how often? Yeah.
And how often do you think snakes attack dogs? I mean, it's not that often. I've had dogs and they never once had a snake attack them. So
I don't know. If you look at Facebook, those gross videos, it looks like it's all the time.
How often do people live through a king cobra biting them on the shoulder?
Who said? I mean, who said it was a king cobra?
I thought you said it was a king cobra.
Oh, maybe I did. Actually, yeah, I did. But I mean, but.
And also, because I've heard that if you have this unexplained fear, like of heights, like you just have a phobia and you don't know why, it's because of your past lives. And that would make sense if we had past lives as animals, like something like that, like a snake. You'd be scared of snakes, or you'd be scared of, that kind of stuff.
That kind of ties into this next story pretty well. In 2014. The parents of 4-year-old Andrew Lucas began suspecting that their boy may be possessed by some kind of ghost inside of him. This happened after he started crying almost nonstop and asking why his parents let him die in a fire.
Okay.
Wait a minute. This isn't the one you did, Debra, is it? About the fire?
No.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Making sure. But when his mother Michelle asked him what fire he was talking about, he started telling her little details of what was his past life as a U.S. Marine. Eventually, she discovered that these details uncovered the story of U.S. Marine Sergeant Val Lewis, who died in a bomb attack in Lebanon in 1983. Because the details of what happened to him and in the story Andrew told were so similar, she decided to take the issue to the reality TV show Ghost Inside My Child.
Instant red flag, might add. Instant red flag.
I know, but during the show, he was given several photographs of military men to look at, and he immediately zoomed in on the image of Lewis. Afterwards, she took her son to Lewis's gravesite in Georgia, where he laid flowers in front of it. He also ran to another grave and pointed to the name on it, saying, "That's my friend." It turned out that the grave was also belonged to a Marine.
See, this is where I get into my story, which I forgot to mention, was the fact with this Bowman kid. They say that the kid is saying all this shit, but it's really the adults saying, so you died in a fire, right? So this happened, right? Like they're leading the witness a lot of the times. I would love to look into your story and see how much this kid actually knew, or if they were like, hey, does
Well,
this military grave look, like
well,
something you
Scott,
would know about?
if you Google past life stories, it's on the first page of Google.
No,
With
no,
the,
no. You asked me
with,
if I believed or not, buddy.
I know, but
This,
with half hour, I'm saying though, with half-hour videos talking about it.
yeah,
Yeah,
no.
well,
So,
look at my one story, the Barrow guy, the Barrow kid there. They all thought it was bullshit. They couldn't find the family or whatever until they all realized there was a vacation house, and so the kid ended up being right. So
No, that one was, I don't know, because I didn't see it, right? Like when you see the actual videos of the people, it's different. Because even if these are true, I would imagine most of them aren't, is the way
mhm.
I would go at it. Like people found out, it was in the newspaper, it was in the news, something happened, and then the cash cows came down and were like, well, my son sees dead people too. I think personally.
is there cash in that? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, especially back in 1994, you go on Oprah, dude, you got a free car under your seat.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but this next story, it was in 2014, and a 3-year-old Syrian boy, he pointed out where his past life's body had been buried after he was murdered. He also pointed out the murder weapon. The boy belongs to a Druze, I think is how you say it, ethnic group. He has a long red birthmark on his forehead, which, according to their beliefs, is related to how a person died in a previous life. The belief was substantiated by the boy who told his parents that he had been killed by an axe to the head in his previous life, hence the birthmark. The elders of the village the boy stayed in took him to the home he lived in during his past life, getting the location from the details the boy gave. Standing in front of the house, he remembered the house, the village, and his old name. The man whose house it was had gone missing 4 years earlier, according to locals. When the elders quizzed the boy about the turn of events, he told them the full name of the person who had killed him when he was the man who lived in the house. He then led the elders to the spot where the body was buried, and sure enough, they uncovered a skeleton with a head wound that correlated to the boy's birthmark as well as an axe. When confronted by the elders and locals, the killer confessed to the crime soon after. What do you think?
Well,
Way
that's
more
pretty
believable.
wild. That's pretty wild if he pinpointed a murderer and where the body is and like literally all the evidence.
See, that's a believable one.
That's interesting.
Ain't it? But no names or anything, but
Oh, yeah, no, I guess. Yeah, all of these, right? You'd have to investigate each one individually. But like if that shit was true, like if all that played out, for sure, that one I would definitely believe in.
Yeah. Can you imagine,
Well,
if the cops don't do anything, so you have to come back, get in the body just to go solve your own murder?
You would think you would just like wait till you were old enough and then kill the man yourself. Very
yeah,
slowly.
basically. But
Well, I
In a
think you're supposed
basement
to come back and be a better person each time, right? So
with antibiotics. Keep them alive a
depends
little while.
depends what you believe, Deborah. But
well, yeah.
I mean, we're over here with Jack the Ripper. Come on now.
but this next one, during her pregnancy, and I'm going to butcher this, when Daw I-teen had a recurring dream about a Japanese soldier who told her he would be coming to stay with her and her husband up in Burma, Myanmar home, she gave birth to her daughter, Ma Tin Aung Mayo, on December 26, 1953. When her daughter turned 4, she started talking about her real home in Japan and how much she missed it. She also made it known that she was afraid of planes and didn't like English and American people. Eventually, it became clear that when Daw I-teen that her daughter lived before. Details provided by Martin Augmail as she grew older, including being a male soldier stationed in Nathul during World War II and running a small shop to provide for her children. She was killed when the Allies attacked and a soldier shot at her from a plane. What do you think of that one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I like the murder one better. I think that's more believable.
Yeah.
Very, very vague, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. It's too vague.
but the fact that it happened way back then, before like past lives were a big thing, like they are nowadays.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. And how much
But
was written down? That's like of the actual
yeah,
account.
exactly. Well, here's one that is a little more current. In '96, a 4-year-old Sanam Wengdu was another boy who loved watching Batman, Spider-Man, and Power Rangers. He was anything but ordinary, though. He was recognized and revered by the Buddhist community in Nepal and Tibet as a reincarnated Lama.
Hmm.
At the time, he was living in Seattle, but it was decided that he would travel to Kathmandu for his formal education, and that afterward he would live in a monastery. He was given the name Truluku La, which means reincarnation in Tibetan. He was believed to be the reincarnation of the beloved Lama, Daisheng Rinpoche III,
Can
who taught the
yeah, you keep going. I'm sorry.
who taught at the University of Washington and co-founded the Sakya Monastery in Seattle. Rinpoche was believed to have been the third reincarnation of the original Lama, Daisheng Rinpoche I, who lived in Tibet. The third also told 2 of his students that he would be reborn in the Seattle area after his death. True Kula had already had his enthronement ceremony 2 years before leaving for Kathmandu, and would be separated from his mother for the first 8 years of his education. His mother, Carolyn Lama, had no qualms about seeing her son go off without her, because she knew that he was special and she only wanted the best for him. I mean, this brings into like the topic of the whole Dalai Lama thing, like being reborn again and again. I know, I was just gonna say that.
Well, I just
But-
wanted to put it out there before we get any deeper to the CCP. We do believe in one China. There is no Tibet. So we'll get that out of the way. One China.
Ooh.
If
Trying
the
to start shit,
CCP
Scott.
wanted to fund us.
Trying to start shit, Scott. But
Yeah. Anywho.
we don't recognize Taiwan either. Just joking. Funny's king of the hill. Haha.
yeah, that's so funny you said that, because I was gonna bring that up. But
It's a good episode.
Bobby Lama. But yeah, I mean, and the fact that he chose right, and he
Yeah.
actually was I love that episode. But possibly coming soon, a Maniacal Music Musings Patreon will be part of our M3 TSK type show thing. Will be animated series like King of the Hill.
Sweet.
So this next story, though, is about James Arthur Flowerdew. When he was 12 years old, he began having strange dreams. They were blurry and vague at first, but over time they became clear. He saw a stone city carved into a cliff and various temples inside the city. He saw a rock shaped like a volcano situated on the fringes of the stone city. He didn't know what to make of these dreams and tried to ignore them. One day, he visited the beach with his family. As he was playing with pebbles, he bent down and picked them up. A vision slammed into his head. It was the city of his dreams. It was so intense that he could smell dry desert air. Dropping the pebbles made the image dissipate, leaving him lost for words. He revisited the beach a short time later to see if the vision would happen again. And as soon as he picked up the pebbles, it did. He saw more details the second time, such as a stone passage and military barracks. He started thinking that he may have been a soldier in the Dream City and had been killed there by a spear. He never had any explanation for his experiences. Years later, when he was an old man, he watched a documentary about the ancient city of Petra in Jordan. He realized instantly that this was the city of his dreams, and he became convinced that he had lived there in the past life. He contacted the BBC, who arranged an interview between Arthur and an archaeologist. The archaeologist was flabbergasted when he discovered how much knowledge Arthur had of the ancient city without ever having been there in current life. Eventually, the Jordanian government invited Arthur to visit Petra. He found his way around the city without the help of a guide or map, and pointed out sites that haven't been excavated yet.
Did they
He talked about
excavate them afterwards?
He talked about a military bracket where he worked with a check-in system for guards. He even provided facts about the area that experts were not aware of. So I'm guessing they probably did excavate them afterwards, but they don't say that in this article that they did. But I'm sure they
not
did.
aware of. I don't know. What do you think, Deborah? You buying into that one?
Well, I mean, hey, like if he pointed out stuff and then, like you said, they, did the excavation and it's there. It's always weird to me though, like you just casually say he contacted, the BBC and they took him serious because he'd sound like a nut. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and they'd be like, delete, like, that guy.
And why the BBC, right? Like, why specifically
because
the media agencies?
Because it's the British and they have contacts in all those countries. But
yeah,
I mean,
but that seems more like a money grab.
Scott, why would he try to contact the British beer company?
British beer company.
Okay, that's a restaurant on the East Coast.
Yeah, you lost me there.
There's a restaurant up around here called the British Beer Company, the BBC, and there's also that famous porn search for the same initials, but yeah, I mean, he might be doing some porn search too. I don't know. I think it was current times, but
I think anybody who tries to contact a media company, that's like instant red flag.
Well, no, it's not to me though. What if you don't have the money to go check this shit out yourself and you want to go check it out and you want like the country to invite you and pay for you to stay there?
Or and even to find out who runs, the digs or whatever, like who knows, right? How would you know?
I mean, exactly. You need connections. If you don't have any, you need.
I can't imagine them taking that person serious.
Yeah,
when you're,
no.
Well, past lives have been a big thing for the last few decades. So,
dude, when we were on the road, I met so many people that thought they were Jesus. Like, if the fucking BBC took every one of them for
Scott,
the truth, like,
there's a difference between past lives and drugs.
Yeah, no, most of the time I don't think there is, buddy.
Oh, I do.
Most of the time I don't.
I think past lives is a thing for real. But yeah, I just can't, even if it was a real thing, it'd be hard to sell your story. I guess that's the thing,
Well,
go for it,
Jeremy. I got 3 more stories here. Let's get through them. It's been over an hour at this point, so we need to get through them. But in 1987, 3-year-old, what's it with the 3-year-olds? Like, is that just a age where you start seeing shit?
I think that
when
was
they
like
start talking, but they still remember.
Right? Like they stop remembering at a certain age.
Oh,
that's what gets you about all these adults that are contacting the BBC.
Like Baby Genius, when like you get past that line at a certain age, you can't be a genius anymore.
I think so. Yeah.
Like you go to being a dumb human. Yeah.
Well, I think you just like you're more in tune, and then like you learn your new life or something. Maybe like I think it does make more sense.
Remember, yeah, you remember. And I think they're more sensitive to the paranormal too, right? They see still.
Oh God, yeah. But however, in 87, 3-year-old Duminda Bandara Ratnayaki started talking about the Asteria Temple and Monastery in Kandy, saying there used to be an abbot there. Duminda was born in 1984 to Sinhalese Buddhist parents and was the second youngest of 3 brothers. He talked about the temple nonstop and also told his mother he had owned a red car, taught other monks, and died in a hospital where he was taken after experiencing sudden sharp pain in his chest. He also recalled having a pet elephant. The little boy soon started wearing his clothes in the way of a monk and visited Buddha's temple twice a day. He also began reciting stanzas in the Pali language. His mother began fearing that her son would want to leave his family to become a monk. By age 5, Duminda's interest in going to the temple waned somewhat, but by age 6, his mother had permitted him to go to the monastery when he turned 7. At this point, he also didn't want to go to a school with girls and didn't want women, including his mother, to touch his hands. When the abbot of the Mawada temple died in 1990, Duminda randomly exclaimed that he had known him well. It seemed that VEN period, Mai Hanayaka Gunipana, who died of a heart attack and owned a red car, could have been Duminda in a past life. Gunipanda also had an elephant.
You found
I
like
don't know.
every Eastern story there is about past lives, didn't you? With all
Well,
the
actually,
hard names to pronounce
actually,
and religions we don't understand.
actually, the next one I have is the last two I have are more Western. So,
Okay. Tuned in.
but that one I don't know. I don't know if I believe that one really. I mean, it seems too far fetched.
Too hard to fact check too.
That's right. Like vague again. It's too vague.
I guarantee if you Google the names, you'll find shit. But
Yeah, but like a lot of the shit, like their news doesn't get published in English. That's where
I know.
That's where it kind of gets fucked up.
All right, well,
For
this
us,
one's a
at
little more
least.
interesting. This one interests the shit out of me. Barbara Carlin was born 9 years after Anne Frank died. From a young age, she insisted that Barbara wasn't her real name and that her family should call her Anne instead. She also told her parents that she knew that they weren't her real mom and dad.
Harsh.
At that point, Barbara's family wasn't up to date with the Anne Frank story and thought that Barbara was losing her mind. They carted her off to a psychiatrist, thinking that she was somehow lost in a fantasy. By age 12, she wrote a book of poetry that would become one of the most popular books in her native Sweden. She went on to write 9 more volumes, however, because she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't who everybody thought she was. But she stopped talking about it after she realized who Anne Frank was and that people likely thought she was insane. This was despite the trip to Amsterdam with her parents at age 10, during which they visited the house of Anne Frank. Barbara knew exactly how to get to the house and that the steps outside of it had been changed. Her parents were stunned. Once she entered Anne's room, she felt an overwhelming fear but refused to leave. She knew that there must have been pictures on the wall placed there by Anne, and when she told her mother this, the older woman finally understood what her daughter had been trying to tell them for years. She was Anne Frank in a past life. Barbara met Anne's cousin, buddy Elias, years later, and he told reporters he believed that she was the reincarnation of Anne. What do you think about that one, Scott?
I think that'd be pretty fucked up if you were Anne Frank and then you got into the body of some Germanic little Swedish girl. That would be ironic at the most. Nobody finds the irony in that. It'd be funny. Like, I don't disprove it, but it would be funny.
All right, well, this last one is American, and it's the most recent one I found. In March 2021, TikToker Riss White gave her account of what her daughter told her a few years ago. It was September 11th, 2018, and Riss was looking at 9/11 memorial posts on social media. One of the posts had a striking image of the Twin Towers, and when her then 4-year-old daughter saw it, she said to Riss, "Hey Mom, I used to work there." Riss, feeling slightly uneasy, asked her daughter when this was, to which the young girl simply replied, "Before." She went on to tell her mother that during one morning at work she had to get up on her desk because the floor got really hot. She and her friends had tried to escape the hot floor by leaving through the door, but the door wouldn't open. She then jumped out of the window and flew like a bird. Riss was shaken and still can't make sense of what her daughter told her. She also confirmed that the young girl has never been told about 9/11.
I don't know, man. I'd love to have her on the podcast and see if we could, did she remember anything of the news the day before with Rumsfeld mentioning $2.8 trillion that was gone missing in the one part of the Pentagon that exploded?
And I mean, and sometimes kids see TV or see clips of stuff without, the parents think they haven't been exposed to it, but it just takes a, brief little clip and somehow it burns in their image or something,
That's what we thought about our son, for sure. What do you think about that? Like bringing that up with your, my kid hasn't talked about it in a long ass time. And that just seemed like you wouldn't want to bring that back up, right?
Don't stir the pot.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If it's, especially, I mean, some of these things, they're traumatic, right? It's, they're, like a girl going to Anne Frank's house and feeling terror and not wanting to leave. I mean, that's, that's terrible.
So I guess what I said about the Germanic heritage was a little insensitive, I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, it's, I don't know, you're talking about your own kid. Do you want to poke? It's interesting, but do you also want to,
Yeah, I don't.
poke that? I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but all I know is that
You
brings
like
this
your
episode. That brings this episode to an end.
Well,
That it
what do you guys think about a Q&A for Pixelated Paranormal? You got any ideas? And Jeremy, what's our show next week?
Well, as far as Pixelated Paranormal goes, sorry, I can't think of anything that I wanted to ask you. That I'm more of an in the moment thinker. But our topic next week, however, I already have 2 brackets I'm doing next week. Well, 2 parts of a bracket. And I think we're going to do a bracket on global strangeness. Because I just thought of a fun ass topic while we were doing the show, and I have a list for it. And it is fearsome critters.
So we're gonna do.
Which
You're doing a bracket about our. No, we're doing a bracket on this show. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. And because for those who don't know, fearsome critters are tall tale animals in North American folklore.
Cool. Okay.
And they're said to inhabit the wilderness or in or around logging camps back in the 1800s, especially in the Great Lakes region. So I will have a list for Debra and Scott probably tomorrow of these creatures so they can do their research.
Can we each
And-
bring a friend?
That would make 5, so hell yeah.
Well,
Okay.
aren't you bringing someone too? Or wait, no,
Uh,
you have to do this at a certain. I'm fucking shit up. You have to do this.
You have to have an odd number. So we either would have to bring 2 more or 4 more. And if we wanted to stay close to an hour, then I suggest we bring 2 more. I've done this before. 7 people makes it like easily a 2-hour plus project. So if you want to bring a friend each, be my guest.
Are you gonna bring a friend, Debra?
If I can talk somebody into,
I mean,
That's my
if-
biggest problem too. Talking someone into. it.
if you can't find a friend, I mean, Scott, you can gladly reach out to one of the guys at Pixelated Paranormal or both of them and make them be the guest.
Yeah, we could do that. Shit, dude, there was. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not ready yet. I was thinking this year, what if we each got a paranormal investigative team from where we each lived to come on the show with us? What do you guys think of that idea.
I know something that came to my house, so I could do that.
And I'm not saying like they have to come to your house, just like a local
I know,
paranormal
yeah.
investigator.
I get what
like,
you're saying.
Invite them on Zoom.
And I know of a clairvoyant in Salem, Massachusetts, who would be more than willing to come on the show. So
I know a few psychic people too that we could do that one time too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I had on my old podcast, I had some people, they were a little farther away, but I would like to rope some people in that are close.
I mean, I
Come
do that
on
in my
the
own
show.
show. I do that in my own show all the time, so I'd be down for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so fearsome critters next week,
Here's some
Fearsome
critters.
critters.
Okay.
and I think
And-
that's fearsome critters bracket. So hell yeah! But and
Now, We're
that's the
done.
moonshine.
Jeremy's gonna
Yeah.
end us